Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have an absolute beast of a model to take a look at. This thing is an incredible Carcharodontosaurus, and quite possibly the most beautiful Carcharodontosaurus model I've ever seen in my entire life. This was actually sculpted by Rene Dissieux, but I am not too great at pronouncing his name, so for the rest of the video, I'm just going to say that this was sculpted by Rene, and we'll leave it at that because, again, I don't want to continue to butcher his name. But he is an amazing sculptor, and we now have the pleasure of checking out some of his work on my channel for the very first time, again with this insanely awesome Carcharodontosaurus. And I love how big and bulky and impressive looking this is. Like, it is definitely a beast of a Carcharodontosaurus, and one that I personally would not want to encounter somewhere out in the wild, because this thing would definitely be a bad day for anyone that does in fact encounter it. And you can also see that it has a pretty darn impressive size to it, and on top of that, again, a gorgeous sculpt. So I'm really excited to get a closer look at this one, and then of course get some paint on it. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look right now. So one thing to take note of is that this figure is straight out of the packaging, and all I did was glue it together. I haven't sealed any of the seams or anything like that quite yet, and I think that honestly shows you how impressive the model is as a whole, because the seams, in my opinion, are not very visible even without being sealed. You can't pick up on them quite as nicely as you do on many other models. So that shows you that the fit for the kit is really well done. Definitely a very smooth kit overall. But if you take a look here at the head sculpt, straight away you can see that our Carcharodontosaurus is obviously letting out a vocalization or trying to snap at something. It has the mouth gaping open wide, looking very angry and very vicious. But also you can see how phenomenal the skin texture and scale detail is on this. It just makes me so hyped about getting some paint work on this, because look at how good the skin texture looks. There is so much variation to the scale detail everywhere on the head of this Carcharodontosaurus. You can also see the eyes are sculpted out really nicely. The detailing there around the eyes looks great. You've got some really nice creasing and everything there under the eyes. You've got the nostrils sculpted out up here. And that scale detail continues to look honestly breathtaking everywhere you look. There is just mountains and mountains of scales on this. So much work must have gone into this Carcharodontosaurus. You can see the ears sculpted out back here. Even moving down here to the lower jaw, you can continue to see all kinds of variation to the scales, making it look just absolutely phenomenal. And the detail is exceptionally vibrant on the model as well. You can also see again that the skin is stretching very nicely here with the mouth being open. The detailing of the skin looks great in there. You've got the tongue sculpted out as well as the teeth. The teeth all look really good. Again, very realistic, genuinely sharp, which is a huge plus, and every tooth is sculpted individually. You can also see some more really beautiful detailing here as far as the inside of the mouth goes. Phenomenal in every sense of the word. As you move down here to the underside of the throat, if my camera would stay focused on it, there we go, we can see a little bit of kind of hanging skin here that obviously is bunching up because the mouth is open so far. The lower jaw is really bunching that skin up. You can see that here moving up the entire length of this area with all the skin wrinkles and stuff, showing that movement off perfectly. As you continue to move down, you also can see some more creasing up here in the top. You can see kind of some small sort of scoots running down the spinal column of your Carcharodontosaurus, and also some more picking up here in the side of the neck as you move down. Leading down into the body, you can see some more wrinkling and creasing to the skin both there and there, so in front of and behind the arm, and also again at the base of the neck. You can see that the skin texture continues to look great. Really, again, gorgeous looking scale detail. And as you move down to the stomach, you can see that the scales get really fine overall. And again, honestly, that shows you just how much time and effort had gone into sculpting this out. I can't imagine how long it took to create each and every one of those little tiny scales in the stomach region. Moving down into the arm, you can also see some muscle definition. You can kind of make out the bone structure as well, but not in any type of a shrink-wrapped way. I think it looks very nice and natural. A few more creases right there. Moving down into the hands, you can see the hands look great, really nice, genuinely sharp looking nails, kind of like some scoots down the fingers as well. Again, that is just some of the nicest detailing I've ever seen on a dinosaur model. As you continue to move here to the underside, you can see even more amazing scales and everything down here, like some of the most impressive scale detail I've ever seen in my entire life. As we lead up here, you can see all kinds of skin wrinkles and skin detail here, skin stretching, and you can see the skin stretching off of the stomach as this leg is kind of trailing right here. As you move up here, you start to see again kind of like clusters of larger scales, sort of like osteoderms and stuff up here toward the top, running along the spinal column of the Carcharodontosaurus. You can also make out the hip bone a little bit right there. As you move down, you can see the muscle definition of the thigh, but it in no way is like overly defined. Like, it's defined, in my opinion, in an extremely realistic way, and it just looks so impressive as far as the size goes. And again, if you get nice and close and my camera focuses on it, you can make out how impressive the skin texture is here in the thigh as well. Leading down, you've got some more wrinkling as you reach into the knee area of the dinosaur. Again, nice big calf muscle. And I like that this leg is kind of picking up off of the ground, so you don't see the muscles tensing too much over here on this side, because the muscles will be a little bit more at ease compared to what we see on the opposing side. So very nice attention to detail. You can also see some scoots running down the front of the foot, as well as some skin wrinkles there, some more wrinkling right there, and again, a really nice looking foot sculpt, beautifully sculpted out toes, really nice, again, genuinely sharp looking nails for the feet. You can also see that we have dew claws present, and then as we lead back up here, you can see some more skin wrinkling and everything right here, a few more kind of clusters of slightly larger scales on the back of the thigh leading up into the tail. And then again, as we lead out the length of the tail, we continue to have some of those kind of like osteoderms and stuff showing up here and there. Again, a slightly more larger scaling to the top, and then much finer scaling here as we lead down into the side toward the underside. And as you lead out the length of the tail, you have a really beautiful curve. You can see there to the tail. The entire body has a really beautiful curve, honestly, to it. As you look there, you can see how nice that curve looks to the body, but the tail as well kind of leads up. It curves toward the dinosaur's left, but then also curves down at the end of the tail. And then you can again see that the head sculpt looks phenomenal over here, just like it did on the initial side. As you move back, you again see all of the wrinkling and everything again with the movement of the jaw, moving all of the skin in the neck and throat region leading down. I love that he's added in extra bits of realism, like a few injuries or scars, however you'd like to paint them up, which is of course something that you would most definitely see on a dinosaur like this, especially a Carcharodontosaurus of this size. And then moving down into the arm again looks phenomenal. You can see the elbow back there. The hand also looks great. Again, really nicely sculpted out nails. And then as you lead up, you've got a few more skin wrinkles back there, a few more right there, and then of course some right here in front of the thigh as the legs pushing into the stomach region right there. You've got the kneecap again showing, and you can definitely make out a little bit more tensing over here, especially in the calf region compared to what we saw on the initial side, because this leg currently is supporting the large majority of the weight of our Carcharodontosaurus. As you can see, the toes are bent, that foot's picking up off of the ground, this foot is planted, so everything would be tensing very nicely over here compared to what we see on the initial side there. And you can also again see that foot sculpt looks beautiful. You've got those toes kind of spread apart as the dinosaur has its foot planted, and you can see those toes are slightly more together as it's picking its foot up off of the ground. Again, little details like that are what really make me not only fall in love with a sculptor, but also impress me the most. As you lead back here, you can again see more of the kind of skin wrinkling and stuff right here behind the thigh as you lead out into, again, that absolutely gorgeous tail of your Carcharodontosaurus. So that is definitely, again, one of the nicest dinosaur models, period, I have ever seen. And then you've got a really big base. Now, the base is actually in two pieces. You would have to glue that together as well. But you can see that we have a very nice kind of earthy terrain here as you move through, as well as the footprints of the Carcharodontosaurus, so you can place it on the base. But look again as we get nice and close to how good the texturing is of the earthy area on the base. It is just awesome. And then as you move through, you continue to again have that same type of terrain. You've got another footprint right there. You also reach an area that has a little rock formation right here. And again, we, on top of having the really beautiful earthy area, also have this kind of outer rim here that leads around just to kind of give it that museum quality appearance to it. So I'm beyond excited to get some paintwork on both this base and our Carcharodontosaurus and check it out from there. So let's go ahead, do that, and we'll be right back with the painted version. So I have painted up the Carcharodontosaurus, and I'm actually pretty happy with the results of this one. Not super psyched about it, considering potentially repainting it again, but I actually kind of like it at the same time. I kind of wanted to go for something that looked somewhat basic, but kind of natural, because a lot of the times you'll see dinosaur models that look so super bird-like, but I feel like this one, on top of having that bird-like feature to it, also has a very strong reptilian type of a look to it. So I kind of wanted to give it something that looked reptilian to me, looked like maybe a color scheme I could see on like a lizard, a modern day lizard or something, and apply it to the Carcharodontosaurus here. And I felt like it kind of, I achieved that. It turned out pretty nicely. But what's most important about this is, of course, once you add some paint to it, like, look at how phenomenal the detail is on this thing. Look at that scale detail and how it just jumps out at you. It just pops. The detail on the inside of the mouth is fantastic, of course. You can see the tongue and everything looks really, really nice. But just generally, again, as you move through the model, you can really appreciate how nice the detailing is, I think, now. Once there's actually some paintwork on it, you can see each and every skin wrinkle, each and every skin fold, all the beautiful scales, all the really nice kind of like osteoderms and stuff moving down through the course of the model, and just generally the phenomenal looking skin texture. Like, look at just how realistic the arm sculpt is, the hand and everything, and even moving down here into the feet, like, they are just incredibly beautiful. And you can continue to see that again as you move through the entire model. Like, if we turn it over to the opposing side and we get this nice little area here where we have that injury, you can see the injury looks incredibly cool again once you actually add some paintwork to it. And again, just an insanely beautiful Carcharodontosaurus. I can say with confidence that this is definitely my favorite Carcharodontosaurus in my collection. There is no doubt about it. Again, if we lead out here into the tail, we get nice and close, just to give you an idea of how beautiful that skin texture is, the scale detail throughout. So Rene has done a honestly amazing job on this Carcharodontosaurus and just making it look so big and intimidating, and hopefully my paintwork has, given it at least somewhat of a beautiful look here with the final product. Again, I'm pretty happy with my paintwork. I'm not entirely sure how happy I am with the color scheme that I went with. I think it looks great on the model, but I think maybe I could do a little better. We'll just have to wait and see. Maybe I'll repaint it, but I think for now, I think I'll keep it like this, because again, it is just one of the most beautiful Carcharodontosaurus that I've ever seen. And again, now, with the way I have it painted, I feel like I've highlighted the detail in a way that it really shows off how beautiful it is. So that's kind of one of the things that's making me not want to repaint it, but at the same time, who knows what the future holds. But we've also, of course, got the base, and the base is painted up and everything as well. You can see the earthy area looks super nice once you actually add some paintwork to it. You've got the footprints and everything for the Carcharodontosaurus there as you move along, and it just looks super nice. Again, just like the dinosaur itself does. You've got that little rocky area right here as we have that kind of rock formation in this area. And you can really see, again, if you get nice and close, how nice the texturing is. It's detail, again, that is honestly so good. It pretty much just paints itself, which I think is just a high compliment for Rene and his incredible work. So, pretty psyched to throw the Carcharodontosaurus up here on the base and check out the entire final product all put together. So let's do that right now. So there is our Carcharodontosaurus now standing on its base and looking beautiful, really bringing this scene to life, I think, with the base being added. And again, you can just see how impressive of a model it is once it's fully put together. But as far as a size goes for our Carcharodontosaurus, it is definitely a very sizable model. For a length, you are looking at just shy of 15 inches or around 38 centimeters. And height-wise on the base, I think the tail might be up a little bit taller than the head. So you're looking at a little bit under 5.5 inches, or about the 13.5, closing in on 14 centimeter range. And then for the top of the head, about 5.25 inches, or just under 13.5 centimeters. I'm sorry if I was bumping the camera. That was a little hard to get that size perfectly. But for a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our beautiful Carcharodontosaurus. And on top of being beautiful, you can see again, it is really quite impressive in the size department. Definitely large for sure. You can really see that here in comparison to all of these figures next to it. And then when it comes to a size comparison next to another Carcharodontosaurus figure, you can see the Rene version here next to the PNSO Carcharodontosaurus. And you can definitely see a pretty massive size difference between these two. Obviously, the Rene version here wins this round. But for another comparison, we've got the GR Toys version. Now this one definitely is getting a bit larger here, obviously a bit closer in size to the Rene version, but yet again not quite there. And in general, I just really love the appearance to the Rene version so much more. Like, I just love the bulkiness in the throat and neck. It just has an incredibly cool appearance to it. But two really, really beautiful Carcharodontosaurus models right here next to each other. And even though they're all kind of crowded in one area, for our randoms, we've got the Collect A Deluxe Dimetrodon, the Safari LTDU Tyrannus, and the Schleich Diabloceratops, here stepping in to again give us another size comparison next to the Carcharodontosaurus. And for one final comparison, we've got the Mattel Velociraptor and Mattel Dilophosaurus next to the Carcharodontosaurus, again just to show you that it is really quite large. And one thing that I really do like about the Carcharodontosaurus, on top of how impressive the size is and how beautiful the sculpt is how good the balance is, because you can see it standing there on the base. There's no pegs or anything holding it on the base. It just stands there very nicely, but it also stands beautifully on its own. Like, definitely one of the most well-balanced out 3D printed models that I've ever seen. Like, it is an absolute champ when it comes to standing. You can see, like, I don't even have to, like, carefully stand it up. I just set it down and it stands beautifully. So, a huge plus on top of everything also goes to the balance of the figure. So this Carcharodontosaurus is an absolute beast, and again, definitely my favorite Carcharodontosaurus in my collection. There's no doubt about that. The sculpt is just so impressive. I love the pose of the dinosaur. I love the positioning of the dinosaur. I love the way it's just kind of walking along, slightly crouched, showing off, again, a very fearsome appearance to it. I also, again, love the bulkiness of the throat. And all the detail contained within is incredibly well done and super high quality. The print quality of the model as well, again, is just beautiful, which really shows off how nice the actual sculpt and detail is throughout the course of the entire Carcharodontosaurus. As per usual, though, being a 3D printed dinosaur, it comes in pieces. You would have to put it together, which we kind of saw a little bit of that at the beginning of the review. We saw how it was, not exactly like filled in with the seams or anything at that point in time. But once you actually do put it together and fill in those seams, it goes from looking like a model to a 100% living, breathing animal. And they really did do a phenomenal job, again, of bringing it to life in a very realistic and lifelike way. And of course, once it is built, it's then time to paint it, and painting models is half the fun, and actually I would say the majority of the fun. The next part of fun would be the fact that you get to sit back and appreciate what you helped to, build and paint, but it really is, again, a blast painting something like this because the detail is so good. It's pretty much impossible to make it look bad because the detail, honestly, is so beautiful it paints itself, which you can't always say that for every sculptor, every model, because you don't always get details so good. But this Carcharodontosaurus is absolutely overloaded with incredible, really vibrant sculpt and detail that, again, just shows off how impressive of a sculptor Rene truly is. And I also love the fact that you get a base with the dinosaur, and it's a really long base. And so that also helps to create a really cool visual for the model as a whole. So again, my very first time checking out a sculpt from Rene, and I am beyond impressed. I honestly can't even put into words just how impressed I am with this Carcharodontosaurus. It's not often that I get a new sculptor into my collection that blows me away like Rene has here with this Carcharodontosaurus. So if you are interested in potentially acquiring one of these for yourself or checking out some more of his work, I will include links in the description to both the Instagram account of him as well as his CG Trader page where you can check out and purchase some of his models from there. So a huge recommendation from me again as far as the quality of work for Rene, and not only that, but also again this Carcharodontosaurus specifically, because it is easily one of the most beautiful models I have ever seen. So if you are interested in this, make sure you check those links in the description, go follow him, and make sure you check out some of his models on CG Trader, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.